Mr. Chair, if you want to run through the agenda real quick, we
Yes.
can do that.
Let's see that.
Lovely. So just a note on minutes, those are from June 12th because we had the July meeting canceled.
Got it?
Letter A is a time extension request. And just a reminder that is not a public hearing item, so we're looking for a motion and a vote on that.
Okay.
Item 1 is a deferral request to date specific September 11th. Number 2 is also a deferral request to September 11th. And item 3 is also a deferral request to September 11th. And then item number 4, we are recommending approval, but because we have public opposition, we will hear that item.
Okay.
And then item number 5, we also have public opposition, so we will hear that item.
Perfect.
Okay, and then we'll get started in about 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. I'd like to call the August 14th, 2024 Design Review Commission meeting to order. Christina, will you please call the roll?
Simple,
Here.
Marsh,
Here.
Aguilar,
Here.
Zuckerman,
Here.
Erstad. Bull,
Here. Here.
5 present, 1 absent.
All right, next are minutes. So at this point, I'd like to take a motion on the work session minutes for June 12th, 2024, and the Design Review Commission meeting minutes for June 12th, 2024.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve the minutes from the Design Review Commission work session of June, is that what we're doing? June
Yep.
12th, and the Design Review Commission meeting minutes of June 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Christina, you please call the roll.
Simple,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Zuckerman,
Yes.
Bull,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
We have,
Mr. Chair,
yes. There's some-
real quick, I think Commissioner Erstad is online.
Oh, did you get that, Christina? Mr. Erstad, can you confirm?
I'm online,
Thank you.
and I vote yes also.
Did you catch that, Christina?
What's that?
You voted yes to both of those.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Simple. We have one item up for a time extension. It's item A, it's DRH 22-00079. The location is 2618 West Fairview Avenue. It's a request for a 1-year time extension associated with a design review permit to construct a new 7-story multifamily residential building with structured parking and a ground floor commercial space and retain the existing restaurant on site in an MX5 zone. So this would be moved for 1 year, and I would be open for a motion on this item.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Simple.
I move that we grant a time extension of 1 year to DRH 22-00079.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Zuckerman. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Christina, will you please call the roll?
Simple,
I,
Marsh,
Aye.
Aguilar,
Aye.
Zuckerman,
Aye.
Erstad,
No.
Bull,
Aye.
5 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries.
We have 3 items up for deferral. First item up for deferral is item number 1. It's DRH 23-00391. Was deferred from the June 12th, 2024 meeting. Its location is 6614 West State Street for the construction of a new car wash building with associated site improvements on a property in a C2D zone. Is there any member of the audience wishing to speak to this item who cannot make the September 11th, 2024 hearing? Seeing none in person, any online? Thank you, Caitlin. The next item to be considered for deferral is item number 2. It's DRH 24-00037. Location is 3150 West Main Streets for the construction of a new 8-story mixed-use building with retail, education, and office uses on a property in an MX5 zone. Is there any member of the public wishing to speak to this item who cannot make the September 11th, 2024 date? Seeing none in person, any online, Caitlin? Great, thank you. The last item for to be considered for deferral is item number 3. It's DRH 24-00118. It is a deferral from the June 12th, 2024 hearing. Location is 3600 West Americana Terrace. It's for the construction of a new mixed-use development with 200 residential units, restaurant space, amenities, and structured parking, and 5 buildings on a property in an MX3 zone. Again, is there any member of the public audience wishing to speak to this item who cannot make the September 11th, 2024 date? Seeing none in person, any online, Keelan? None? That concludes our items to be considered for deferral. I'd be open for a motion on those items.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Ball.
move to defer item DRH 23-00391, item DRH 24-00037, and item DRH 24-00118 to the September 11th meeting.
Thank you. So
Second.
moved and seconded. Thank you, Ms. Zuckerman. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Christina, you please call the roll.
Semple,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Aguilar,
Aye.
Zuckerman,
Aye.
Erstad,
Aye.
Bull,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Great. First item to be heard tonight is going to be item number 4. It's DRH 24-00091, location 6656 South Eisman Road. And at this point, I would turn it over to staff for their presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. This project in front of you is seeking a design review approval to construct a new convenience store with fueling facilities and associated site improvements on property in a MX2, which is mixed-use general zone with a development agreement established in 2009. The subject property is located at the corner of East Garvin Road and the South Eisenman Road intersection. The Boise Outlet Mall is 2 parcels to its south, and the I-84 is at its east boundary. The subject property is within a 1/4 mile of the regional activity centers located at the intersection of Federal Way and Garvin Road. This parcel is currently vacant. It is surrounded by mostly industrial uses to its west, with some commercial uses to its north, northwest of Garvin Road and south. The nearest residential area is about 2,500 feet northeast. This project proposed 2 fueling facilities and a convenience store in the middle with a quick serve restaurant and rest areas. The site is accessed via 2 full access approaches onto Eisenman Road, which have been aligned with the existing access on the west side of Eisenman. The southernmost access, which is showing the east in this drawing here, is planned primarily for commercial access and it will be shared with the Kingworth South facility project that was approved by this commission earlier this year. And the northern access, which is showing west in this drawing, will serve primarily for the passenger vehicles. The approximately 6,000 square feet convenience store is essentially located to safely serve both passenger vehicle users and the commercial vehicle users. The single-story convenience store is about 20 feet with entry through features at around 29 feet high. It's below the maximum allowed height limit, which is 45 feet in MX2 zone. The building facade employs columns, metal beams, storefront window system to add articulation to the design of the building. And the building walls are recessed at sides to break up the monotonous facade panels. The project proposed to attach a pergola structure and a patio to the west wing of the convenience store to provide building connectivity to the Eisenman Road frontage. You can see clearly here. The sheltered patio is surrounded by seasonal landscapes to provide a beautiful seating area to the site and additional visual interest to the pedestrian route. There is also a fenced dog run area to the north of the property, which is west of the drawing shown here, and another sheltered rest area located at the corner of Eisenman and Gowan Road to provide street connectivities as well as shade for the customers. The project further improves Eisenman Street frontage by replacing the existing sidewalk with a 10-foot multi-use pathway and a 10-foot landscape buffer. The applicant requested the sidewalk waiver from replacing the existing 10-foot attached sidewalk to a detached sidewalk and putting an 8-foot landscape buffer along Gowan Road due to the presence of basalt rock and the steep side elevations. This request was reviewed and approved by the planning team. However, in lieu of the full landscape buffer requirements, the applicant will still be required to plant a minimum number of 8 street trees for the 320 linear feet Gowan Road street frontage to other landscape areas on the project site. The project will have 2 fueling facilities, one for the vehicle passengers and another one for the commercial. And the height, location, and design of the gas station meet the code requirements. Public comments were received from South Eisenman Neighborhood Association and a neighbor from that neighborhood. The concerns are related to the use and potential traffic impact of the development of this project on South Eisenman and Gowan Road. And the staff reviewed the letter and recommended no change to the proposed project and then no change to the recommendation of to the recommendations in the project report for the following reasons. First, the use is allowed in the modern zoning code and in the development agreement, which was established in 2009. As you can see here on the left-hand side, it's a allowed use listed in the development agreement, and then the right-hand side is a table of allowed use in the modern zoning code. They both show that the convenience store and the service station are as allowed use. Second, the access point align with the locations projected in the development agreement, and it also meets Ada County Highway District's policies. This is a conceptual development site plan in the development agreement, and it shows that it projects that the future development will prefer to have 2 access and then in a location which is exactly where this project is proposing. And the ACHD will always prefer the new access to be aligned with the existing access. Last but not least, the Ada County Highway District has reviewed the project at the additional vehicle trips from this project, and they do not require any mitigation. With that, the planning team recommends approval of DRH 24-00091 with conditions of approval as described below, and those are also included in your packet. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for staff at this point in time? Seeing none, thank you. Is the applicant present? If you would please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name's Tamara Thompson. I'm with the Land Group. Our offices are at 462 East Shore Drive in Eagle. Tonight, today I'm representing Maverick on this application. My client is in the audience, and I also have our landscape architect, Bob Schaefer, with me, should you have additional questions. Catherine did a great job of going through the project. I do have a PowerPoint, but most of it is what she already covered, so I don't need to address that. The one thing I do want to address, though, is the traffic concerns of the neighbors, and just bring up, can I do that here?
I think you got it just a minute before they're back up and running here.
Okay. The main thing that I want to point out is just the ACHD staff report and their required conditions of approval and their analysis. So in their analysis, it does have that we are to do a 10-foot multi-use pathway. So there's already existing sidewalk on Eisenman Road. It is an attached sidewalk. We will be detaching that. So one of their conditions is to widen the right-of-way. Their condition is 50 feet, and we'll be widening that about 52 feet to accommodate that multi-use pathway. And I wanted to show, is it up yet or no? Okay, that's okay. I'll just tell you what it says. Basically, the roadway for Eisenman, which is a 5-lane road, can accommodate, and I didn't write down the exact number. I could go get my report because I had it on my slide. But it's roughly 1,500 vehicle trips per hour, and where the current road, the capacity that's on, or the traffic that's on there today is only about 17% of that. So there was a huge difference there. So as far as ACHD is concerned and the levels of service, that the current use of Eisenman is at 17% of what the capacity is. And what this project adds to that is not a considerable amount. It definitely adds some, but for what the road was designed for, with the outlet mall that didn't ever flourish like they thought it would, the road just hasn't been utilized. So ACHD, we meet their policy. We will comply with their conditions of approval. They do have a couple of planned projects in the next year to 5 years. They have 2 new projects that they'll be doing out there. And so just wanted to give you that assurance that ACHD has reviewed it and what their conditions of approval are. We reviewed the City of Boise's staff report and agree with staff's analysis and recommended conditions of approval. And we respectfully request your approval. And I will stand for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Questions for the commission for the applicant? None. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Caitlin, or I'm sorry, Catherine, I don't think there's a neighborhood association here, is there, for this area?
Mr. Chair, there is a neighborhood association, the South Eisenman Neighborhood Association. So if we could just make sure they're not.
Okay,
in
yeah, is
attendance
there
that night.
anybody from that neighborhood association here that's here to testify tonight? Seeing none. Got a couple on the sign up sheet. One of them was Ms. Thompson, also Todd Myers from Maverick. So we'll go to the next. Is it Bill Paul? Again, Bill, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
My name is Bill Paul. My address is 3725 Elmore Road out in Parma. I'm one of the lucky souls who gets to commute into this area every day. So I work for Kenworth Sales Company, who will be building a dealership at the outlet mall in the future. And so we all know there are certainly an abundance of trucks and cars in this area. I guess that's the result of a robust economy, whether we like it or not. The good news on this area is that the traffic control systems with the lights in the turn lanes are very adequate. And pedestrian traffic out there is virtually non-existent, even though we will all be required to put in sidewalks. This location for the Maverick folks will provide additional much-needed services for locals the local folks who work in and around that area. So, and as a truck dealer who plans to build this dealership, this will also give us a really good place for our truck drivers while they're waiting for their trucks to be repaired, to be able to walk over there and actually get something to eat. Some of these people are sitting in the driver's room for several hours. Vending machines don't always cut it, so it'd be nice to have something that they could go get. This location is kind of in the heart and soul of the industrial and commercial area that Boise's got going out there. So with that said, we really support this thing. So that's it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Are there any other members of public wishing to testify to this item tonight? Mr. Myers, did you want to say any other words since you're on the sign-up sheet? Again, if you'd state your name and address for the record.
Todd Myers, an employee of Maverick, 185 South State Street, Salt Lake City, Utah. You know, if we were able to pick our top two locations, one is next to industrial and one is next to the interstate. And this site has both of them. And so we've really planned for that in the layout of this facility. As the planner indicated, we have the vehicles separated from the semis. Basically, you got pedestrians, little kids walking across from the fuel canopy to the store. And so to be able to separate that really works quite well. But then we also have a little area, a little dog run, because in this area by the interstate, I think we're going to have quite a bit of the traveling public that's going to stop in this area. Industrial areas are really good for our food program. We get a lot of people that are able just to walk over from the warehouses and that and be able to use our food program. And that's why that trellis that we have out on the side of the building, and there's about 8 different picnic tables out there. And I would anticipate during the summer, lunchtime, they're going to be in use quite a bit. So other than that, happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much. Ms. Thompson, do you have any other last words? Okay. With anybody online, Tim or Caitlin? No? Well, with that, we'll close the public portion of the testimony and bring it back to the commission for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Suckling.
It seems to me that any concerns about this project are about traffic, which is not a design review concern. And the building looks as we'd expect a convenience store gas station to look. And the use is not under our purview, so I don't have any issue with this.
Thank you. Other comments or anybody want to take a stab at a motion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, yes, sir.
I move to approve DRH 24-00091.
Per all the conditions.
Second.
Yep, sorry.
Yes.
So moved and seconded. And just to clarify, per all of the conditions of approval. Okay.
Indeed.
So we have a motion and a second. Second was by Aguilar. Any discussions on the motion from the commission? Seems pretty straightforward. Thank you. All right. Christina, will you please call the roll?
Simple,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Aguilar,
Aye.
Zuckerman,
Aye.
Erstad,
Aye.
Bull,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item is item number 5. It's DRH 24-00194. Locations 12673 West Ash Creek Street. It's for the construction of a new family residential development with 156 units and 20 buildings on a property in an R3 zone. Ms. Aguilar, I believe you're recusing yourself on this particular item.
Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I would turn it over to staff for their presentation.
Good evening. This is Rachel Farrell from ADS from Design Review Online. If you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. And I have my presentation up, so hopefully that is sharing as well. All right, so the item for you is DRH 24-00194. The project is located at 12673 West Ash Creek Street. And the site is currently developed as a parking lot and is located south of the Boise Research Center and Hobble Creek Park and located directly north of a single-family residential neighborhood. The applicant proposes to construct 20 buildings, 20 multifamily buildings with 156 total units. And the townhome style units will be spread out over 10 buildings along Ash Creek Street. And there are flat style unit buildings that will be located in the 10 buildings along DeMeyer Court. Vehicle access will be taken from Ash Creek, and there will be pedestrian access only out to DeMeyer Court. The townhomes will be 2-story walk-ups, and the flat style units will be located in 3-story buildings, with the exception of one 2-story building in the southwest corner of the site. The project meets the neighborhood transition standards when abutting single-family residential. And as you can see here, the massing of the townhomes and flat style buildings are appropriately designed to create pedestrian-friendly environments. The buildings fall below the 50-foot height limit maximum. And except for the one building that abuts single family, that will be reduced to a max height of 35 feet. The buildings have an appropriate amount of wall plane modulation. There is window patterning and material and color changes that will help relate to the pedestrian scale. There is enough variety from building to building to create more visual interest from the right-of-way, and building entrances to the townhome face the street to create easy access. Staff finds that the project complies with the design review guidelines in the Boise City Development Code with conditions and recommends approval for the project. I will stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Questions for staff at the moment from the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
real
Mr.
quick.
Simple.
Rachel, I know that a lot of the concern here, there's some pretty large mature vegetation, primarily along the southern boundary, kind of on an existing berm, and then within the parking lot. Do you know, I know the applicant, are they proposing full mitigation for any tree removal? And can you just touch real quickly on whether they're removing trees from that buffer from the single family?
Sure. So there are trees planned for the removal on the interior of the site due to the nature of the development. And the trees, and I'll let the applicant speak to specifically where, but there are some trees planned for removal along the berm in order to accommodate some pedestrian access. I can show that here. So here is where, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but down in the southwest corner where the single family is, there is a pedestrian access proposed at the request of the city. And I know that there are a few trees planned from removal there. I believe I have a landscape plan as well. But all trees that are planned for removal are going to be fully mitigated on site. So there are more trees planned for DeMeyer Court new plantings as well. So
yeah, that got it. Thanks.
okay.
Any other questions for staff? Good. Is the applicant present? If you wouldn't mind, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Commission. My name is John Wardle with Brighton Development, Brighton Corporation. My address is 2929 West Navigator Court, Meridian, Idaho 83642. Glad to be here in front of you tonight. This is a project that was previously approved, and we are back, and I'd like to just talk through a few of the points, and then I can answer some of the question that came up just a minute ago at the end of my presentation, if that's okay. Just a quick summary of what I'd like to cover is the location, the project as a whole, amenities of the site, massing, facades, materials, and the transition to the southwest. So I just have a few slides here to go through. This project is located in the Boise Research Center. It was developed as a parking lot back around 2003, 2004, back when DirecTV was a tenant out there. They had a very large parking requirement, but that quickly diminished. And so they used it for a couple of years, and then it has sat vacant probably since the mid 2000s. The site is directly adjacent to, you can see in the lower right slide, there's a large kind of building there. That's ACHD's new headquarters. And they do not have any need or use of the parking lot. And so we've looked at this for a while, and it's sat vacant, and we felt like there was an opportunity because of its location sitting within the Boise Research Center with Hollow Creek Park, 2 elementary schools, the YMCA, employment, and other type of things that are nearby, including a high school to the south and a middle school in the other corner. Access to Ash Creek will occur internally. And what that means is there are 2 local streets that get out to both Chinden and Cloverdale. One is Discovery and one is Meeker. They both come down to Ash Creek. We will not have any vehicular access that will go out to DeMeyer Street. So all the cars will go north. With that stated, DeMeyer has not been improved on the north side of the road. This goes back a really long time. That berm actually was built probably 30 years ago when the Boise Research Center went through originally to create that buffer. And that landscaping is there, but there was never a sidewalk installed on the north side. There wasn't curb and gutter as well. And so the north side of DeMeyer is what we'd call deficient. We are proposing to install a 10-foot detached sidewalk, also adding curb and storm drain along that. There's one other item here that is of interest is that there is a unfinished pathway that goes over to Hobble Creek Park. Part of it is ACHD right-of-way. Part of it is part of the Hobble Creek Park, but there is about 440 feet that has not been finished and that we will be building as well. I'll get into that detail in just here in a minute. The project is designed with 2 types of housing opportunities. One is townhome style. Those townhomes face Ash Creek. The front doors face out to Ash Creek. There's a back door on these where, if the residents there, they can get into the back of their home on the back of the home. But Ash Creek does allow parking, and people can park on Ash Creek and walk up to the front door. The other style are flats. Those are predominantly 3-story buildings. We do have a 2-story building as well in the southwest corner, which is noted as the orange dot on this. The 3-story buildings are blue dots, and the townhome style, which are also 2-story, are on the green dots. The townhomes are 3 bedrooms, and the flats are a combination of 1 and 2 bedrooms. And so that's the configuration of these. In total, there's 156. It's kind of 37% is 1, 37% is 2, and the 26% is the 3-bedroom option. This gives kind of a comparison of what was approved before and what we're asking for today. And I just do that just so you can see really what the predominant difference is. We are still kind of the same configuration of townhomes and flat buildings. We do have 3-story flats. We did not have those before. But in the southwest corner here, we still have a 2-story flat building. And then the rest of it on the new plan, which is on the bottom here, is open space. We are aware of the adjacent residential that's there. We did maintain the 2-story, but we also did remove parking and other buildings in that corner and created more of a buffer at that location. And then this shows that we've also decreased the overall number of buildings from 26 down to 20 in the new configuration. This does just give a quick overview of the amenities on the project. We have pathways, sidewalks, and I say sidewalk, it's external to us, but the sidewalk along DeMeyer is needed, and we're installing that as well as the pathway over Hobble Creek Park. We'll have a dog park, we'll have gazebos, outdoor grilling areas. We will have parcel lockers, which are becoming more important. The EV charging stations are, it's a requirement, but we're finding that they are highly desirable. And it's a need. And so while we will have, we'll meet the initial requirements, we have the capacity to expand it significantly if more need is needed down the road, and also enclosed bike parking. The city's requirement for open space, what we would call qualified open space, is based on the square footage of the land occupied by a residential building. And so in this case, we would be required to provide about 20,000 square feet, call it about half acre. We actually are providing 97,000 square feet. So we are 140%, and this is what we would call the usable or qualified. The actual open space provided in the entire site is about 204% of the residential building footprint, but just wanted to note that in the record, which also includes the berm along DeMeyer. Just a little bit more detail if you want to get into that later on. This just notes what is going to be complete. We'll be completing 410 feet of the pathway to get over to Hobble Creek Park. We will also be building about 880 feet of 10-foot sidewalk. ACHD does have the rest of it going out to Cloverdale with their property, and it's right away. It is 5 feet. I would suppose that at some point they would upgrade that as well. And we're happy to have that conversation with them as we're working through our final construction plans. Just quickly, just some elevations of the buildings. I know that you have kind of a 3D model that was shown, but this gives you a little bit more illustrative of what we're looking at. The buildings do face the street, pedestrian friendly within and around. The facades, there's a lot of articulation on these and plane modulation as well, both horizontal and vertical. The roof forms do vary. Both with kind of shed and typical roofs. We have balconies on the flat buildings with large windows. And the flat buildings, it is one building, but we can rotate at 180 degrees. You can kind of see it in the lower right corner. That is the same building, but one building, as it rotates, it does change the way that that building looks, which also improves the overall look and feel of the community. Materials are typically gray, white, and black, and that gives you an overview of the different materials that we'll be building here. Just wanted to touch quickly on the transition to existing residential. Like I noted before, in the previous plan, we did have residential right up against there. We do know that we have more density this time, but we also recognize that this is the only location where we are close to residential. I will note that from the back of our building to the existing fence line, it's about 66 feet in this location. And we are maintaining the berm. This kind of shows the way that the berm is right now. There are gaps in the plantings, and I have another slide that I can show you that will show what is existing and what we will be adding, but that berm will be enhanced as well. We did create open space in that corner, and we also, through the project with these pathways coming out, we are eliminating a few trees. We tried to find locations where there was either minimal disturbance or no disturbance as well as at all, but we do have some disturbance on the berm within the project. I just want to go to one other slide really quick that kind of shows right there. The green circles on this exhibit, to answer your question, Commissioner Semple, was what's existing on the site. These are all the trees that are existing that remain. There are some locations where the pathways come out, and the other circles that are there are trees that we will be planting anew on the berm, as well as other places. We did ask for, and it was noted in the application about Ash Creek. Ash Creek does have an attached sidewalk. We asked for a waiver. The reason for that is because we have a lot of mature trees on Ash Creek already. And by detaching it, we would eliminate all of those. And by leaving it attached, we can keep many of those and add more. So the mitigation on site, while we are mitigating, we are replacing, and we were even on the site. So with that presentation, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding the Ash Creek project.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wardle. Questions from the commission for applicant? None? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have one on the sign up sheet tonight. Joe Legu. Still probably said it wrong, but please come up if you wouldn't mind, say your name and address for the record.
My name is Joe Legue, 14435 West Guinness Drive, City of Boise, 713. There we go. Chairman Marsh and Commissioners, thank you for your time and for your service. I'm before you as the designated representative of the Centennial Neighborhood Association regarding case DRH 2400194. The Centennial Neighborhood Association, or simply Centennial if I may, comprises an area which encompasses a population of well over 12,000 Boise residents and hundreds of businesses. Per the 2020 City of Boise Neighborhood Data Almanac, Centennial's rental housing ratio and rental vacancy rate were both half that of citywide figures. Home values are 48% higher than citywide. And this might suggest an appetite for rental housing in what is otherwise a predominantly single-family suburban community. The Ash Creek site lies in Centennial's northeasternmost corner. Centennial has been aware and actively engaged in review and assessment of Ash Creek since 2022, when it was first proposed. Recently, a meeting notice was sent to all participating members of record of Centennial with reference to the project design changes proposed by Brighton Development and offering opportunities for review, discussion, and potential action. Representatives of Centennial have also discussed Ash Creek with the applicant as representatives, as well as Rachel Farrell, the city planner. Centennial held neighborhood association meetings in April and July, at which Ash Creek was on agenda. We have a Centennial member consensus. Centennial desires to go on record in support of Ash Creek as proposed. Further, Centennial anticipates and appreciates that Ash Creek will yield complementary housing units in close proximity of companies and employers within and near the Boise Research Center, the Idaho State Campus, and the HP Campus. It is noteworthy that the adjacent former and longtime vacant AT&T DirecTV building has been recently acquired by ACHD for a new headquarters building. 2, Ash Creek will also yield improvement and completion of pedestrian access from West of Meyer Street to Hobble Creek Park. 3, will yield completion of north side of West of Meyer Street with the addition of curb and sidewalk. There will be tree removals, but it is anticipated overdue attention, care, and some potential replacements for the numerous trees that populate the site adjacent berm will be made by the applicant. 5, it provides added pedestrian access to the southern border of the Boise Research Center. 6 is the elimination of a chain link fence and anticipated replacement with a more attractive and appropriate fence that will also enable improved pedestrian access. And finally, 7, for what is currently an unused parking lot, Ash Creek will yield better property utilization and additional tax revenue to support the city's services to Ash Creek and the local area. Thank you. At your pleasure, I will stand for any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Nope. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other members of the public here that want to testify tonight on this particular item? Seeing none, are there any online?
Mr. Chair, we do have Jim Lancaster online, but he has not raised his hand. Oh, there it is. I will let him in.
Yes, I'm speaking for Jim and Sandy Lancaster, Chairman at Marsh and Committee. Our address is 5577 Misty Ridge Way in the Brookdale Meadows subdivision. In addition to our submitted written input, we would like to add the following points. The neighborhood meeting was announced late, advertised poorly, and apparently held after Brighton had submitted the final plan. The overwhelming consensus at the meeting was to move the 3-story apartment to Ash Creek Street and place the 2-story townhouses on the DeMeyer Street side of the property. The proposed position of the 3-story apartments with balconies looking into the residential home does not meet the design criteria of step-down or transition to homes. A viable transition zone for Brighton's development should place the 3-story apartments adjacent to the 3-story industrial building on street. The 2-story townhomes should be adjacent to the existing residential homes on DeMeyer Street, which would have far less impact from noise and parking on the neighborhood residences. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members wishing to testify? Seeing none in person, any others online? Would the applicant like to come up and say a couple of final words?
Mr. Chair, for the record, again, John Wardle, 2929 West Navigator, Meridian, Idaho, 83642. This is a project that has not just snuck in. There's been a lot of conversations about this. We have met with the neighbors adjacent to us. Our team has met on site. We've had a number of conversations with Joe Legue and with the Centennial Neighborhood Association throughout the process. We understand the change that is here. If I might, I could probably show one slide if I can have that come back up, and I can kind of show you how it works. But we did look at it, but we feel like still overall, as this community does build out, there are some advantages to the design that's there and there will be in the future as well. This is an aerial that we took about 4 weeks ago. And then we took our plan and dropped it onto the site. You can see the context of the mature trees that are there and the opportunities there that those trees actually do naturally obscure a lot of that anyways. One of the notes that I failed to address, but Joe did mention, we currently have a chain link fence there. Not very attractive. And it is something that we will be changing per the staff report. We will be proposing a new solid fence, but that will come up to the pathways and then wrap its way back. There'll be enough room to move through there. But that fence will also provide a very good screen at street level where you may have a little bit of visibility there today. We feel like this is the right location for this. And we feel like there's a very good mix of living opportunities within this community. We've spent a lot of time working with staff, looking at the buildings themselves, not trying to do this in a halfway because we are the owners and we intend to be the owners of this for a long time. So with that, I just appreciate your opportunity to present this before you. And if you have any final questions tonight, I can answer those for you.
Great. Thank you very much. Questions for Mr. Wardle? None? Great. Thank you. With that, we'll close the public portion of the testimony, bring it back to the commission for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Zuckerman.
I think that this is a very appropriate use of this property, and I really like the suburban style apartments for this neighborhood. I think it really addresses the single family homes around it and is a huge improvement to a parking lot. And I think it'll even help obscure the research park buildings from the existing properties. So the view will be a huge improvement. And I appreciate the open space and think that this is a much better use of the parcel than the previously approved version.
Thank you. Other thoughts, comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Boyle.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about use, but I just have to say, I mean, I think this is an incredible way to reuse a defunct parking lot. I think it's great to see, an old surface lot going towards 150 plus new residences. I think the buffer along, I think DeMeyer, the fact that they're saving, the majority of the mature landscaping, I think is going to provide a nice buffer to the neighborhood. So, yeah, in general, I think that the design itself is a bit boring and uninspired, but in general, I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Stead.
I would echo the things that have been said. I think this is a great project for the site. I appreciate the mix being altered to include more 3-bedroom units to address more of a family use, particularly with the YMCA and Hollow Creek Elementary over there. I think that will address a good need. To address the point that was brought up about flipping the townhouses and the 3-story apartments, I think that would have a pretty significant negative impact on this project, with the townhouses being more appropriately addressed directly to the street frontage, which would indicate that they should be closer to a street frontage, and putting them along the south side would, I think design would dictate that they should be closer to the street and thereby sit in the existing landscaping berm and get rid of a lot of the existing trees. So I think this is the best arrangement, and it's certainly a higher and better use for the site than what is there. I agree that the design could be maybe tightened up a little bit, or could have a little bit more interest to it. But by the same token, some buildings are fabric buildings and some buildings are focal buildings, and I think these are pretty good fabric buildings.
Thank you, Mr. Stead.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
yeah, just real quick. I mean, I agree with, I think, everybody else on this commission, the comments that have been made. And I, again, just want to commend the applicant on the retention of the trees and the addition of more trees along there. It's great to see you work around those as much as you can. I just wanted to make that point. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd agree with as well, and I do appreciate a thorough application as well. So thought that was nice. And at this point, it sounds like there's a lot of support for the project. Is anybody willing to take a stab at a motion at this point?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Simple.
I would move approval of DRH 24-00194 based on all the terms and conditions of the staff report.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Zuckerberg. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will you please call the roll?
Simple,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Zuckerman,
Aye.
Erstad,
Aye.
Bull,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Great. That concludes our items for tonight, and with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.